Hello and welcome everyone. This is Lamia Youssef and I'm here from the Azure Networking Group. Today we're going to be looking at how to gain insights into auditing and monitoring your operations on Azure Networking. You have been telling us that you have been building really awesome applications on the cloud, on Azure Cloud, using different components from the platform as well as from the infrastructure services. You have been also telling us that you want more insights into your system. Specifically, you want to know how the different components in the system are operating. Today, we're going to be focusing on networking. You have been telling us that you also want to gain historical and real-time insights into the network to be able to understand how it's operating, diagnostic the network, monitoring it, ensuring that it's configured as you have expected and have designed it to be, as well as to be able to alert in case of any anomalous conditions in the network and to evaluate risk and compliance. Overall, we hear from you three main objectives for that. The first objective is to have continuous compliance, to be able to be compliant with your internal standards, but also with general standards such as PCI and other generic standards. The second objective is security. You want to be always dynamically secure in the cloud. You want to make sure that this is happening as well as to understand and to be able to take immediate and prompt actions in case that was compromised for any misconfiguration error or in case of any problem with your provisioning in the cloud. The third one is dynamic analytics. Analytics is the ability to be able to gain more insights into what's happening in your cloud. Analytics is about getting more business intelligence in your deployment as well as in your business case. We're very pleased today to be introducing log analytics for networking. This is going to enable you to gain more insights into operation performed on your networking resources. So you ask me, what's log analytics for networking? Log analytics for networking are composed of three main components. The first of them is log analytic events, the ability to gain logs of the different components that you have provisioned in your network. The second one is storage, the ability to be able to store these components, these logs, to archive them on Azure storage and to be able to download them later on to be processed with your tools. The third component is analytics and insights, the ability to gain insights into what you have downloaded from the logs, as well as to combine that with the different tools and products that you have in the cloud. So let's take it a little bit more in depth. This is an architectural diagram, a very high-level architectural diagram of log analytics for networking, for the new feature. And over here, for the different software-defined network components that we have in the system and that you can provision today, we're generating logs, we're collecting logs for how they are operating, emitting all of these logs into your Azure storage account in the form of blob storage. And from there, you can either download them into third-party tools or Excel or R or on your on-prem tool that you have already developed for your on-prem network. Or alternatively, you can use some of the products, Microsoft products, to analyze that, to analyze the different logs that you have collected on your network. Today, we're going to be going more in depth on operational management suite as well as on Power BI. So what kind of logs are we collecting for the different information, for the different components and generating and emitting them for the user? The first of them is operational logs. These are the different API calls that we are giving to the user or that the user is using to provision different resources in the network, such as creating a new VNet or deleting a VNet. The second category is the control plan logs. These are the status updates from the different components that you have provisioned in your public cloud, whether it's a NIC status, such as what are the energies that are being deployed on the different NICs in your system. Finally, the third category is data plan counters. These are the counters of the flows that have been allowed or denied through certain components in the system that you have provisioned. Let's take it a little bit into more depth. So this is a sample cloud application. And for a typical cloud application, users, usually enterprise customers, usually would deploy their system into a front-end subnet and a back-end subnet. The front-end subnet contains the different web server VMs, all connected and facing the internet using a public-facing load balancer. and connect it to the back end subnet and back end system using an internal load balancer, where the different database server VMs reside. Users use network security groups to control and to monitor and to secure the different subnets in their system. And each of these NSGs contains a number of rules that controls which flows are allowed into the network and which are not allowed. And these different NSGs are associated with the subnets or with specific NICs. So in this sample typical application, we would be collecting for you 3 different types of categories of logs. The first of them is operational logs. Whenever you provision a new component, then we would keep track of the log of this provisioning. Who provisioned it, what time it was provisioned, and so forth. The second one is the control plan logs. Periodically, we send you logs of updates of what NSGs are updated per NIC, what's being applied, what are the rules that are being applied and operational on each NIC. So that if one of them disappears or if one of them is not operational, you would know right away. The third one is the data plan counters, the NSG counters. We keep track of how many flows were allowed or denied per NSG per NIC in your system, such that you can go and query it. And if you suspect something is wrong, you can go and dig more into what's happening with your with the number of flows flowing through your system. As a setup to the start, how do we get access to these different logs? There's 2 ways today to get access to the logs. The first of them is to download the logs. For operational logs, API audit logs, you can access them through the portal. You can access them also through PowerShell, commands like get Azure subscription ID log. You can access them using CLI, Azure Group Log Show. And finally, we also have published a script that's going to, on GitHub, on this link, that's going to be able to give you access to the different logs in CSV format. So you can download them, convert them into CSV format, and have them fed into other tools and applications that you have in-house. For control and data plan logs, they're currently being written into your blob storage, and you can configure it through the portal. So you ask us, how do you visualize and import to other analytics tools? So there is the Azure portal, which today have access to the different audit logs where you can go and query it. It provides very basic visualization for the different logs, but also it provides you with a high-level image of what's happening in your network in general. You want to take it one step further, then this is the Power BI solution that we also have developed that's going to be available shortly, and where you can actually import the different logs, create very powerful dashboards. We will go through a demo of that today. There is also the Operations Management Suite, which is a very powerful management suite for logs from different systems. For networking, we have developed a solution as well that's integrated through their gallery, and from which you can actually generate and import the different logs and generate reports and very advanced visualization and querying, basically queries to be able to understand what's happening in your network. And finally, we played a little bit with an R sample script, a very simple prototype kind of script to be able to understand what's happening within your network and to also be able to ingest it and generate possibly predictions as well as anomaly detection in your network. So let's go into the demos. The first demo is how do you audit operations on your network resources. And for this demo, we'll see how we can do that through the portal, but also through the Power BI dashboards. And I'm going to switch here to the portal. And this is our standard portal today. We have added enhancements to the audit logs for different resource services. And from here, it's retrieving the data. From here, we can see that, here we go. It's showing us different actions that have been taking place over the last few days. Before this talk, I actually went and created a new virtual network. And it appears here, it gives me an informational message over here, but it appears over here as well as a write virtual network operation. The new virtual network is called AzureCon 2015. When I click on it, it shows all of the other actions that was associated with this creation action and who have created it. This is very important for the user, for an operator, if they are giving access to different users in their enterprise to be able to understand who created the different resources and when they are created. If you click on any of these different actions, you can get more information on the resource, when it was created, what is subscription ID, what's the resource URI, as well as what's the resource group. So this way you can gain more insights into your operations in the system. Power BI is the other tool that I mentioned earlier, and it provides a high-level dashboard into the data, generating very nice visualization for the user to be able to go and see what's happening in their network. There is two ways to ingest data into Power BI today. The first of them is through files. Files are basically CSV files, where you can use the GitHub script that we have published to be able to download the files, to download the logs, and add them here as CSV files. The other one is a service, or the content pack. And we have generated a new Azure Audit Logs content pack, where you can actually click on Connect to your subscription service and get all of the data uploaded to your Power BI account over here. Power BI have a free trial, so I encourage you to go and try this new content pack in order to be able to generate a lot of logs. The ingestion of the data and generating of the different dashboards usually takes a few minutes. So I'm going to basically go to a dashboard that I have generated before this talk. And over here, I've generated 3 different dashboards. One of them to see the different network operations that have been going on in my enterprise system. The other one is for the security. If we go for the first one, the NetOps one, we would see that it's showing us the total number of operations, the status of the operations, who was operating it. This is very important, especially from a security perspective. If you have several users, you want to understand if it's only the operator that's creating the different resources in the system, or if somebody else is contributing to that. But more importantly, you can actually go back and toggle on the different resources that you have. So over here, I went for the network security resource. And when I click on it, it shows me how much of the overall resources was basically focused on network security groups. I generated also another, in the specific dashboard, another report that goes more in depth into what's the recent security operations and what's happening, who have done the different operations and what was the operation and whether it succeeded or not. Going into the second one, the second dashboard, I dived a little bit more into what's exactly happening with the different flow counter trends in my system. I also added a new screen to see what are the recent security operations that happened within the system, specifically to network security groups, and who are the users and the callers of these as a time series. So I'll switch back to the talk over here, and we'll go to the second demo quickly, which is how to continually audit security risk and compliance adherence in your system. Basically, what users have been telling us is that they want to see what's happening in their system in case there is any anomalous conditions, but also if there is potential configuration errors and whether their system is compliant with a golden template that they have developed for their system or not. And for that, we will use the demo from OMS, or Operation Management Suite. OMS is a very powerful log management suite that's providing a lot of visualization and tools to be able to generate, understand, and generate visualization, understand operations, and query and manage the different logs in the system. They have developed a solution for us through their solution gallery that you actually can add from by clicking on the solution gallery. I have already configured and added it over here, and it will add a tile into your main screen on OMS. OMS also have a free tier, so I encourage you to go and try it. By clicking on the main tile for Azure Network Analytics, it will take us to different panels that's showing an overview of the operations that's happening in our network. The two first panels are focused on network security group rules again, showing what are the different security groups in my system that I've configured and connected with OMS over here, and what's the distribution of traffic that have been allowed or denied on that rule. It's also going to show me the different MAC addresses in the system for the different VMs or NICs that I have, NICs specifically, that I've connected with, and the different flows that was allowed or blocked. Additionally, there are a number of notable queries that we have added to over here, such as show me all of the events from my network security groups, or show me events that are not matching any network security group flow. Show me all network security group rules that are not matching any flows in my system, or that are matching all flows in my system. By clicking on one of these, it's going to take us into the advanced search query system for OMS. This shows us more information about the different logs. So this is one of the logs that have been captured on my system, showing what was the log, what was the MAC address that was captured on, what was the rule name, what was the counter for the match flows, and so forth. You can query it more. You can filter it through the left-hand panel, but also you can see through the table view exactly what's happening in your network for this specific rule name. I'll switch back to my slides, but this opens the door for a very, very powerful automation process where you can actually connect the OMS system with Azure Automation to be able to query the system based on certain resources and certain counters. And whenever this counter reaches a certain threshold, you can automate the automated tasks that either send you or email you an alert in case of an anomalous condition, or be able to actually take an action by provision a new resource or provision a new network, VNets in your system, and so forth. The third demo that we have today is basically a proof of concept of how we can use R to detect and diagnose anomalous condition in your network and how to correlate that to a management plane logs. So I'm switching here to an R terminal. And what we see over here is a very simple script that we actually have worked on putting together that treats the events, the different logs, as in CSV format that we have downloaded from the system using the GitHub script. And I'm going to go here and basically load the script. It's going to take some time, but this is basically the script that it analyzes a time series event that compares the different logs one by one in order to be able to understand what's happening in the system and correlate them such that whenever there is a change between one or the other, it would be able to detect it. We have some results that returned over here, and the script is telling me that actually on August 29th, there was one number of events that have changed in the energy rules. So I need to go back and understand more what's happening over here. But also it's telling me that around September 9th, I believe, there is another event that happened, two events that actually happened that I need to go and understand what changes were applied to my energy rule and whether a user was trying to punch a security hole by changing some of my energy rules. And using that, I can go back and find who's this user through the other logs that we have created in the system. This is the high level of the architecture of this solution, where the network are generating and collecting the logs, putting them into the plop storage, ingested afterwards to the log connector, that's the sample code that's available on GitHub, and then it converts it to the CSV, put it into R, and from R, it generates this anomaly report that I shared with you. So summing it all up, we're very pleased to make it available to you, the log analytics for networking, and that is composed of three main components. The first of them is log emission and storage, providing you with a number of resources, the audit control plan and logs, and data plan counters. And finally, the close integration with Power BI and OMS. It's available today, so go and try it. And we would love to hear your feedback on this feature, as well as requests for new features in the system. Thank you very much for listening.